Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries presents Friday Night Bible Study. Our Friday night Bible studies are held in the United Kingdom, Atlanta, Georgia, St. Louis, Missouri, and in the state of New Jersey. Welcome to Friday Night Bible Study.
Peace, everyone, and welcome back to another Friday Night Bible Study. My name is Miriam, and I am so super excited for our discussion tonight. I think it's going to be so amazing. I'd like to welcome my awesome panel that we have for you guys tonight. We have Ruben coming all the way from Toronto, Canada. Say hey, Ruben, what's up?
Thanks, everybody. How's everyone doing?
Good. We have Hadassah coming from the Northeast area. Hi, Hadassah.
Peace, everyone. Peace, Miriam.
Peace. And then we have Sarah coming from the St. Louis branch. How you doing, Sarah?
Hi, Miriam. Happy to be here on this panel.
Okay, great. Let's get right into it. As I said before, I am so excited for the topic that we have tonight. I think it's going to be so good based on the conversations that myself and my panel has had. I think that we have some real meat for you guys tonight. So I think that we should just get right into it, shall we? Okay. So as you guys can see, the topic for tonight is taking the first step, or take the first step. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation was because as I get older, as a young person in Israel, I think about my own relationship with the God of Israel and what it looks like. My entire life, my relationship with the God of Israel has been based off of my parents and them bringing me to Saturday afternoon lessons, bringing me to new moon, Sabbaths, things like that. But now that I have grown up and I'm on my own, if you would like to say that, I've had to create my own relationship with the God of Israel. And I thought about the steps that I've had to take to be in the standing that I am with the God of Israel right now, and the steps that I need to take for my future to be in an even better standing with the God of Israel for my future and for my relationship with him. So to my panel, I'd love to get you guys' opinion on what does it mean to take the first step? What does that look like for you?
I can
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're so right.
Okay.
You're so right.
Well, for me personally, no matter what the first step or the step you're taking towards reaching your goal, for me, the most important thing is embracing vulnerability, because no matter where you're going, what your journey is, there are going to be points where you feel like I can no longer continue, or like there's so much weighing on me, it's so difficult to do this thing. And that takes a lot of guts to admit that you're scared or you're stressed out or you need help. That takes a lot of guts, but also you have to be incredibly vulnerable with yourself. You have to be truthful with yourself, but also vulnerable to the God of Israel. Because when you call upon his name, he is truly there to listen to you and to provide for you as best as he can. So when you go to the God of Israel, you pray to him, tell him all the things that are weighing on your heart, on your mind, on your soul, on your spirit. He will hear what you're saying to him, rather, and try to bless you in any way that is possible and help you actually fulfill your goal and reach the end of your journey.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of that, I think it's also important to like embrace uncertainty and just like not be set in this like, okay, this is going to happen and then this is going to happen and then this is going to happen. You know, if I do this first step, if I, if we're thinking, worldly, if I go to university, or if I apply for this job, or if I, put the keys in the ignition, you know what I mean? But even spiritually, I think it's embracing that uncertainty and being able to say, okay, I know that if I pray to the God of Israel, I may not get exactly what I want, or I may not get it in the exact time frame that I feel like I want it in. So just embracing that limbo period of like, okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I don't know where my life is going to go from here, but just putting that trust and faith and hope in the God of Israel to be able to, bring you to where you need to be, if that makes sense.
100%. It's all part of the process. I think even this lesson for me is very timely because I'm a creative, and a lot of the times I want to plan out every single scenario that could happen. I get stuck in that planning stage, especially for many different projects I'm trying to work on and even programs I'm trying to do. And I just get stuck in my head and it's on this loop. So I feel like I really have to think of all the scenarios first, but you don't. That's what like faith is like taking that first step and allowing the God of Israel to show his power through you. I'm going to work through you. And so, but he can't do that unless you set that tone and you take that first step. I think it's impossible to get a point A to point B without taking his first step. Like you have to walk. You have to be able to like be in motion for things to change. Nothing's going to happen at home or just in bed or whatever. Like you have to be able to uh, show him that you're worthy of him like intercepting and guiding you through that.
100%. I truly loved everyone's points. I think the biggest thing that I've taken from all of your points is embracing the journey and embracing whatever sort of uncertainty that may come with whatever that first step may be. So as scary as it looks, as scary as it may seem, as scary as it may seem to like jump off the deep end, if you have to do it, if that's the first step you have to take, then you have to embrace it fully. You can't just be like, okay, I'm going to take a little step and try to get into it. Like, if you really want that thing, whatever it may be, you have to be willing to put yourself in the position to receive whatever may come from it, whether it's blessings or the opposite of blessings at the time.
Yeah, I think that also comes from confidence. You have to be able to know if you lift up your foot, you have the confidence to hold your weight down when you put it down. Like there has to be confidence in your skills and your abilities in order to be able to just walk that path. And it wavers. Everyone has doubt. Like that's completely normal. But I think you have to have a baseline level in order to like get it started for sure.
And Sarah made the point of saying that it's a process. And I really appreciate that because we as just people in general can get so caught up in I need it now. I need this in this moment. This is what's going to happen. This is whatever. But like any other process, it takes time. And you can't just do the work one day and then expect to have all the rewards the next. It's when they say you reap what you sow, think of that literally, like the crops, it doesn't just plant it next day, wheat or whatever it is. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes all your hard work for you to actually reach those goals and reap all the benefits that come with it.
100%. And I love the point that Sarah made about trusting yourself and trusting that you can hold yourself up. And I think that it's important to not only trust yourself, but also trust the God of Israel and knowing that whatever happens, he will be there. It's not just you on your own taking that step, though it may feel that way. It's you with the backing of the God of Israel, your community, everyone around you. So as long as that's something in the back of your mind and you're like, okay, I understand that this is a scary step to take. I understand that this is a scary thing to do, but it's not just me. And I have the support of the most powerful God that there is. Why don't I just jump head first, like at that point? Because knowing that he's in your corner, it's like, yeah, I got this. It's fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think people, when they get through stuff, they don't get to celebrate enough, like they take it for granted. But I think at any stage in life, if you look back to challenges that you faced, it did seem impossible at first until you're on the other side. So like use those, like you've been proving to yourself that you could do it this whole time. Why not use that same confidence that you've probably grown to at that point and continue to push forward through certain things. Like there's not been one thing you have not been able to handle your whole life, like through the confidence of your own self, your skill set in the God of Israel. Like what makes you doubt that you'll continue to have that throughout your whole path as well?
Exactly. Audience, hello. Drop some sevens, drop some fires. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends, all this stuff, because this panel is about to go crazy tonight. So I hope that you're ready to receive all the gems that we're about to drop. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, great. So I would be amiss if I did not look to the scriptures, right? To see what our forefathers have done in the past, to take that first step and demonstrate the faith, like we said, the courage to put themselves in places to be chosen by the God of Israel without even knowing. Because it's not like any of our forefathers decided, hey, the God of Israel is really going to see me if I do this, so let me do it. They saw it within themselves to put themselves in particular situations, in particular places. And because of that, they were blessed. So now we're going to look at how or in what positions that they were put in to see how we can learn from them and take from that and see how we can apply that to our own lives. Okay. So first, we're going to take a look at Gideon. So moderator, if you could go to slide number 3. Let's see. Okay, so Gideon, we're going to go into how Gideon took that step of trust. So can we go to the next slide, please? And can I have a reader for this?
I can read.
Okay.
Okay, so we're reading Judges 6, verses 11 through 21. And there came an angel of the Lord and sat under an oak, which was in Orpha, that pertained unto Joash the Abiezrite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said unto him, The Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And the Lord looked upon him and said, Go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent thee? And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And the Lord said unto him, Surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee and bring forth my present and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of God said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. And the angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and there rose up fire out of the rock and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed out of his sight.
So there is definitely a lot of meat here. And just for a bit of context, at this time, Israel was under the rule of the Midianites, as we read. And as always, Israel is calling for the God of Israel to deliver them from the hand that they're under. And the angel of the Lord came to Gideon. Now, as it said earlier, the angel of the Lord said that Gideon was a man of valor. Now, obviously, we're not able to see in the scriptures what Gideon did before to receive this kind of recognition from the God of Israel. But in saying that he's a man of valor, we can see that he did put himself in a position to be noticed by the God of Israel, and not only noticed, but used by the God of Israel. Because then eventually, as if you read further, you see that Gideon was able to destroy the altars of Baal and also rally the 300, which is something that no one else could do other than him. So because of the things that he'd done prior to the angel of the Lord coming to him, the God of Israel noticed him, saw him, even though he was of the lowest house. He was seen by the God of Israel, and by him being a man of valor, he was able to be used by the God of Israel. Ruben?
And I really appreciate the story of Gideon, because as you're saying, his early story and what led up to this point isn't something that's heavily discussed. But it goes to show that no matter what work you are doing for the God of Israel, whether you're sweeping after the service is done, or you're mopping the floors, you're cooking, walking the children, teaching children, whatever it may be, even if it's not something that is looked upon with a lot of grace or looked upon with a lot of favor, you're still putting your hands towards the God of Israel. And whether other people see that work or not, the God of Israel does. He is watching every moment, and he sees all the work that you put in, and he will bless you accordingly. And he sees your heart and the intention of which you do the things that you do. And if you do it with good intentions, he will bless you.
Right.
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on the point of what you said earlier, Miriam, with saying that Gideon was of the lowest house. Like, it wasn't like Gideon was with the kings and Gideon was with the, all these people who were great names and all these the bigwigs, I guess, of Israel at the time. It wasn't like Gideon was in those people's houses and affiliated and acquainted with those people. So the fact that he was still able to rally up the people that he needed and put them through everything that he put them through with the trust of the God of Israel on his side, that I think that speaks to the fact that he is truly a man of valor. And I'm sure there were moments where he doubted it and was like, well, why me? I'm nobody. I'm a nobody. I'm from the lowest of the low. I'm not the big wigs. I'm not the big leagues. I'm not up there.
Right.
But that just goes to show the amount of genuine and honest and true trust that Gideon had in the God of Israel, because even through the doubt, even through the uncertainty of lifting up his foot, he was still able to be confident within himself. Like we were saying earlier, he was still able to be confident enough within himself to put his weight down on his foot and, carry out what was within his will. So I think that was just something that I wanted to, point out.
I love that point, Hadassah. I think even like I love, one thing I love about reading the Bible is I love seeing myself in what we read. And even just to talk about that doubt for a little bit that he talked about in that first part of what we read, where he said me, like, well, what do you mean, And it's like, humans are the only animals that can doubt ourselves. Like, our minds are so powerful that we can convince us of something that isn't true. And like, our brains think of the worst scenarios constantly. So I think that is just such a relatable part to him and characteristic, that even to show that doubt is normal, it didn't make him doubting, didn't make the God of Israel say, well, actually, it's not you anymore. I'm going to someone else. Like, no, that probably instilled in him that, no, that this is the person. Because if you're on a path, you're on the right one when doubt comes in, because it comes at its most your powerful point, when you're about to do something big. And so I just love seeing the like human characteristics in our ancestors, and like knowing that it's all part of the process, and there's like answers to that as well.
I love that, Sarah. And in speaking to that humanity, you can even see that through him saying to the angel, like, but why are we in the position that we're in? If our God is so great, why are we under the rule of the Midianites? If he was the one that delivered us from Egypt, why are we in this position? And that goes back to the humanness of it. These are real people who experience real emotions, who experience that fear, who experience that doubt, and experience that uncertainty. But at the same time, he still took the step in that trust and decided, even though he had that doubt in, the God of Israel and why they ended up where they ended up, he still said, you know what? I'm not just going to turn this away. I'm not just going to let my humanity take over and be like, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm not the guy for the job. Let somebody else do it. He said, you know what? I'm going to do exactly what was asked of me, exactly the way it was asked, because I trust the God of Israel that much that anything that happens, I know that I am doing what he had told me to do. And that's it. That's the end of the story. There's no more to say. If I am taking that step of trust, he is doing it wholeheartedly. There's no sort of, I'll kind of do what he asked. No, he's doing it, and he's doing it all the way.
Yes. And I think that even comes from, that's why I love the part about where he asked for the signs. Like he's like, all right, I hear you, but like let me make sure. But I need a little bit more to like push through and commit to this. And when
Right.
you got the sign, there's no question about it. Like even in your own lives, when you ask for things, that's why prayer is so important, because what you say you should mean, and the God of Israel is listening to that. When you say it, if you say, give me a sign and I'll do this, you gotta do it. Like
Right.
you gotta do it if it comes through, because you've committed to that at that point. So I love that, because I ask for signs in my own life, and that's kind of what I use to lead what I do and don't do and things like that. So it's so powerful being able to ask for that and then receive an answer from the Holy God of Israel. I mean, that's, to have that relationship with him, it's so unique and so powerful. So I love seeing that as well.
Right. And if the God of Israel is showing up for you, there's no reason why you shouldn't be showing up for him. Because what's the point in him doing that? What's the point of him showing you his power if you're still going to be like, I'm still going to doubt you at the end of the day? I really don't. Was that even you, or was that something else? Like, that's disrespectful. You asked for these signs. You asked me to do this for you. I'm doing it for you. And you're saying, no, that's not okay. That's not actually what I was looking for. So I think it's really important for us to take now that when you receive something that you ask for directly from the God of Israel, don't think it comes from anywhere else but him, because that's a disservice to him and his power. It may not be in the same way as showing you huge signs, but it's still the same thing. If you're asking for a blessing and he is granting that to you, not only do you say, oh my gosh, this is the God of Israel, you say, oh my gosh, thank you, God of Israel, because there's no other way it would have happened if it wasn't through him. So like we had mentioned before, even though Gideon doubted his ability and being able to carry out the God of Israel's way, because he didn't feel like he was the kind of person to do it, and it still happened, that reminded me of David and how David was the youngest of his household. But the God of Israel still looked at him and still looked at his character and said, that is the person that I want leading my people. If my people want a king, that's fine, but I'm going to choose who it is, and I choose David. So moderator, could you go to the next slide, please? So David, we're going to look at how he took the step of legacy. You can go to the next slide, and can I have a reader for the scripture?
Yeah, I could read. So 2 Samuel 7, verses 1 through 16. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord hath given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but I've walked in a tent in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I've walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me a house of cedar? Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be a ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in the place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of the wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. And if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever.
I absolutely love this scripture, and I think it's the perfect example of taking that step of legacy. Here we see David, he's chilling, he's fine, he's in his palace, Israel is seeing peace, there's nothing wrong, everything is great. And he's like, wait a minute, here I am, comfy cozy in my house, and the Ark of the Covenant is just sitting there behind curtains. How is that fair? So we see that the thought of that came from his heart. And that first step in that direction of legacy came straight from his heart. It's not like the God of Israel put it there. It's not like someone else was talking to David about it and he was like, oh, yeah, you're right. David was like, okay, wait a minute. How can I be who I am without giving the God of Israel his props, without giving the Ark of the Covenant a temple, a place for it to be officially? And he said that to Nathan, and Nathan was like, okay, great. And then the God of Israel was like, hold up, wait a minute. I know that I've given Israel everything that they've needed. I've delivered Israel from so many different things, and I have seen so many different people. And this is the first time that someone is taking it upon themselves to do it. Now, David, you're not necessarily going to be the person who is going to do this for me, but because you took this step and because you thought of this, not only am I going to bless you, but I am going to bless the rest of your family and your lineage and your legacy through having this throne. And I think that that's so profound. The God of Israel saw David's heart, saw that what David wanted to do for him, and said, that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you. You're not going to be the person to do it, but because this is your heart and because this is who you are, I am going to bless you and your legacy in an amazing way.
And I like the word you use, profound, because it truly is. And the amount of lessons that you can learn from simply reading the Bible and actually digesting the information that's in front of you is more than we could ever know. And that's why the Bible is truly the best gift of any gift that you could ever receive. Because every single thing that you need to learn, you can learn from the Bible. How you should progress through life, you can learn it from the Bible. How you can maintain relationships, you can learn it from the Bible. The God of Israel has truly given us a blueprint for not only how to be good Israelites, but good people. Because yes, he's teaching us how to be genuine towards him and genuine with our ideals and things that we do. But if I'm not genuine when it comes to interacting with other people, or even genuine with myself, how am I going to build long-lasting relationships with the people that I love and achieve the goals that I want to achieve if I'm not being a genuine person and being as true to myself as I possibly can be?
100%. It's almost like you can really see the relationship between the God of Israel and David as very much so like that parental child relationship that we talk about all the time when it comes to when we're talking about the God of Israel and his relationship to us. Like it's almost as if a child takes it upon themselves to do well in all of their classes, to put themselves in extracurriculars, because not even for, the praise from their parents, but just for like their own self-edification, putting them in these after school activities and whatever else they may want to put themselves in for whatever reason, the parent will see that and the parent will be like, oh, okay. Yeah, so you're going to get an extra money added to your allowance. You're going to get whatever gift you want. You're going to get this, that, and the third. And that's clearly seen through the relationship with the God of Israel and David. The God of David didn't, like Miriam was saying, David didn't have somebody in his ear telling him, oh, well, the Ark of the Covenant's here and you're a great fighter for the God of Israel and you're a great person unto all of us and you're an example unto all of us. I feel like maybe, I'm not saying you should do it, but like I'm saying you should do it. You should, build that for him. David was like, no, if the God of Israel has blessed me with all of this, and the God of Israel has not just blessed me, but blessed the people around me and made us the nation that we are, the beginnings of a nation that we could be, why am I just sitting here? Like, why do I get to just sit here and obviously soak this all in, but just sit here and soak it all in? I want to do something back for him. I want to give something to him that shows him how much, that just gives him a little bit, an inch of how much that I love him, how much I, adore him. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And the God of Israel saw that and was like, wow, David, wow. Even though David wasn't the person to get it done, the fact that he even had that, and then had that idea to even, think of something like that, the God of Israel was like, I see you, I hear you, and I will bless you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it just shows how much of a relationship we have with the God of Israel. It's a unique one, to where not only can he bless us, but we could bless him as well. It's a relationship. And I think that kind of power is untapped sometimes. I think when it even comes to taking the first step, we kind of wait. We kind of wait for the signs instead of asking for them. And it just goes to show how powerful we are as like a people, of course, but like as individuals, and like how much confidence we need to have in that, on even on a daily basis. We could continually access that, whatever we're doing, because we see how much David was blessed. I mean, he received, as a father and as a king, what the God of Israel is telling him here today. He received the utmost, like, blessing that a father and a king can have. It's security in his lifeline, in his kingdom, and he promised him that forever. And we see even he this is the line that Jesus comes from. So it's like it's continually showing, and there's proof that what David decided that day, it matters. And because it came from deep down in his heart, and the God of Israel can see that, he was blessed for that. And I think that goes to show that even in our own daily lives, we have to continually use our gifts to bless the God of Israel with them, and continually praise him through that, and make sure that he knows that we know where our power comes from, and just have accountability when it comes to that.
And to piggyback off Hadassah's point, when you do the things in school, you get good grades on the test, on the assignments, whatever it may be, you are setting yourself up for a prosperous future and putting yourself in a position to get a lot of, or more opportunities than if you were to do good in school for those things. Now, when you look at it through an Israel lens, when you do the things you're supposed to do within the nation and for the God of Israel, you praise him accordingly, you call upon his name, you let him truly hear your voice and hear what's in your heart and on your mind, you are putting yourself in a more advantageous position for the future, because you are letting him know, this is my name, I'm your child, I am dedicated, and I will be here for as long as I'm on this earth. And when he sees that, he will bless you accordingly, and he'll hold you with the highest regards.
Absolutely. Let's get some fires and some sevens in the chat, because the points that are being made right now are crazy. I feel like I have so much to say. The biggest thing that I wanted to mention is the fact that we're talking about how our ancestors are putting themselves in these positions. And it's important to do so. And it's really important to look at what David did, because the God of Israel isn't going to place you in certain positions. If he doesn't see that you're going to work for it, if he doesn't see that you're asking or praying or anything for it, he's not just going to give it to you just like that, because what have you done to deserve this? But David, not only in his heart, but he spoke it. He said, this is what I want to do for the God of Israel. He didn't just keep it in. He was like, okay, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I'm not sure. I don't know how people would react. I don't know how the God of Israel reacts. So let me keep this to myself. But he took it upon himself to speak it into existence. So the God of Israel heard that. He saw that. And he said, not only is this who you are, but you actually want to act on it. And that's something that we need to keep in mind, especially as the youth, is if we want to see something happen, whether that's in our lives, in the nation, in our careers, we need to speak it and we need to work at it. And we need to tell the God of Israel, like, hey, this is something that I really want. This is something that I want to do, not for me, but for the benefit of the nation. We see how David wasn't even like, I'm going to do this so that the God of Israel can edify me. I'm going to do this so that the God of Israel sees me and says, oh my goodness, David is such a great guy. Thank you, JM, for the donation. He did it because he was like, how dare I sit here while the Ark of the Covenant is just behind curtains? The God of Israel doesn't deserve that. He deserves so much more. Who am I as David to have a palace? And the God of Israel doesn't even have anything like that. So David is just an amazing example as someone that we should look at to not only think things, but speak it and ask the God of Israel for it. And not only that, but work for it and put ourselves in the place to receive those blessings from the God of Israel. And on top of that, bless the God of Israel every time. Because that's the goal, right? That's the ultimate whatever. Like, that's what we're trying to get. Ultimately, to bless the God of Israel and to give back to him, give back to the nation, give back to our people, because that's what he wants from us. He doesn't want us to just take. He wants us to take from him and give back tenfold, because that's what he's been doing since the dawn of our existence. So I am absolutely loving the conversation that's happening right now. I think it's so amazing. I hope that the audience is really enjoying everything that's happening right now. I hope that there's all the fires and the hundreds and everything, and that y'all are really, really listening to what we're saying right now, because it's so important.
And another reason why I love the story of David so much is that he is the best example that you don't have to be perfect. Right. Yes, you should strive to be the best that you can be as an Israelite and as a person, but you're going to fail. You're going to make the wrong decision sometimes. You're going to mess up. That's just, as a human, you're never going to make the right decision 100% of the time. Right. But what do you do after the mistake? What do you do after that failure? Are you taking the necessary steps in order to redeem yourself of those things and show the God of Israel that, yes, I messed up this time, but I'm here, I'm showing up, and I will do better. I've learned from my mistakes, I've learned from trial and error, and you have given me the grace and enough forgiveness to keep going on, and I will take that, and I don't take it lightly, and I'll continue to serve you as best as I can.
Yeah, and one thing that I also found really profound and like something that really stood out to me from what Miriam was saying is that David spoke what he wanted into existence. Like, he put it out there. He, like I said, that wasn't something that was told to him from the people around him in his palace or anything, but he spoke it into existence. And like you were saying, Miriam, that's something that definitely the young people of today in this nation need to realize, that if you truly want something from the God of Israel, or if you just truly want something in general, you can't keep it in. Like, if you want to make an A on an exam, you can't just be like, oh, I hope you get an A in your mind. If you want a job, if you want a specific job, you can't just say, oh, I want a job, I just speak it in your mind. You have to open your arms, open your mouth, and pray to the God of Israel and say, God of Israel, please, this is something that I want. This is something that I could see myself having, and something that would benefit me and hopefully end up benefiting you and this nation, and just only add to the nation that we have today. Like, you have to be able to have that ability and confidence to speak it, because once you speak it, the God of Israel truly hears, I believe. Like, once you say something and once you pray about it once, twice, 3 times, the God of Israel will truly hear what you're saying, and he will bless you. It may not be, like I said, the next day you go to sleep and you wake up and the next day you're blessed with everything you asked for, but the God of Israel will see that you spoke it and you put the work in for it and all of that, So I just thought that was really profound what you were saying.
Absolutely. And I think even like that's what our ancestors prayed for. If you think about Solomon's prayer, he asked the God of Israel, if we face towards you, towards the east with all our heart and all our soul, hear us, like receive us back into the fold, allow us to have the blessings promised to us from Abraham. Like that's all we've asked for. So for us to not utilize that relationship in that prayer and ask this day is not doing ourselves justice or our ancestors.
And
And
it's
like,
important to consider. You can go ahead, Mary.
well, go ahead, Ruben. You got it.
Yeah, it's important to consider that prayer to me is a two-step process. Yes, there's the actual praying and getting down on your knees or whatever it may be, but the second part of it is the actions that follow the words. Because a prayer without actions is just words. That's it, not anything that holds any actual weight. But if you say, using the example that Hadassah gave, I want to get an A on this test. If you're not doing the things that you need to do in order to get that A, you're not studying, you're not going to a tutor program, talking to your friends about having a group study session, whatever it may be. If you're not doing those things, why would you expect the God of Israel to then give you the A? That's not how this relationship works.
100%. I think that to bring that to Israel, if you're asking the God of Israel for things, if you're praying, but you're not going to Sabbaths, you're not going to new moons, you're not going to afternoon lessons, you're not going to, if you're in Canada, morning service, if you're not putting in the work, if you're not putting your hands into the nation, what good is your prayer? What good is asking the God of Israel for any of these things if you're not giving back to him? That's the whole point. Faith without works is empty. You can't have put all the work in or you can't not put all the work in, like Ruben and Hadassah said with the test example. Just wake up the next day and say, I'm going to get an A on the test. I know I didn't study. I didn't do anything to prepare, but the God of Israel's on my side and everything's going to be good. You get the test back, you failed. And you wonder why. You didn't do anything to put yourself in the position to receive that blessing. And it's the same thing in Israel. If you're asking for all these things, but you're not putting your hands into the nation, why would the God of Israel see or think that you deserve any of those blessings or that you deserve what you're asking him for? If you're not giving back to him, if you're not giving back to the nation, what am I blessing you for? It's just another thing that you're not going to be giving back to the nation. So why would I do that? And I think
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Hey, you totally got it. I'm good. You got it.
Cool. So I like to say that the God of Israel will match your energy. If he doesn't see, like you're saying, he's seeing that the only time, people at the nation see you, or the only time you step foot in, the center of the nation, whatever you want to call it, is for Passover or it's for Atonement Day, and you're not, making an effort to try to go to, like you're saying, Saturday service, morning service, new moons, tabernacles, feast days, even if it's not yours, the God of Israel will match your energy. He will see that. Like, if you plant one corn seed, you're not getting a field of corn. The God of Israel will match your energy. He will see that you are not going to, you're not giving him the same thing that you're expecting. Like, your input is not, or your output is not what your input is, Matt. Like, it's not going to work. So that's just something I like to, keep in my head as I'm, going through the motions of life, is that the God of Israel will match my energy. So if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, whether that's praying or just, be like, God of Israel, please, throughout the day or whatever, going to my services and whatever, then I'm not getting what I want or what I'm praying for.
Such a great point, Hadassah. Let's get some 7s in the chats, please, because I appreciate that so much. It made me think about the parable of talents, where I think it was a leader left, and he left talents, a certain amount of talents with people, and he came back and asked for, okay, what'd you do with that? And there's this guy that didn't do anything with it, and he's like, that's a sin, basically. That's bad. And it's just like he does match your energy. Like you set the tone, and that's why we have this beautiful relationship of prayer in our communication style, because you're able to hike it up a notch. Like, you're able to do certain things when it comes to, okay, how much do you want this? Are you going to fast for me? No? Okay. Are you going to be on this prayer program for like a week, a month? Like, are you going to be able to do certain things to show the importance and like and like how important it is to you, and and so that he's able to see that and you're able to do something with it.
Agreed, Sarah. Hadassah, that was amazing. Ruben, your points are on point. All of this conversation makes me think about something. And I want to pose my question to my panel and also the viewers. So we've seen how our forefathers have taken these first steps, but how do we think that as young people, as people who are exploring our own relationships with the God of Israel, how can we take that first step in our lives? Like what does that first step look like? Is it prayer? Is it fasting? Is it going to the altar every week? Like what is that?
For me personally, I think before you can do any of those things that you mentioned, it takes proper planning. Because if you don't have a plan for something that you're trying to do, the minute something comes and knocks you even slightly off track, you're messed up now. You have to take that whole break and recuperate, try to figure out what's going on, how do I approach from here, which direction do I go now? But when you have a solid plan that is well thought out, that you put genuine time into, it makes everything a lot less stressful, and it makes it easier for you to reach those goals. So for example, if I want to strengthen my spiritual connection with the God of Israel, it might involve prayer, going to the altar, or whatever it may be, whatever you have access to. But if I'm just doing that willy-nilly, then it's not going to have any real fruitful results. So if I do want to do that, let's say I want to pray 3 times a week. That is a real goal that you can work towards, and you can jot down when you do it and when you don't do it and say, okay, cool. Now I have this to work to. If you want to show up to services more, okay, cool. I know that I'm busy on weekends because I work or I have school or whatever it may be, but I want to try to make at least, very least, 2 services a month. If that is something that you can do and you have the ability to do that, have that as a goal and plan it out so that you have the ability to say, okay, I'm meeting my expectations, and then you can realize whether you can increase those expectations or leave them where they are, because that's what you have the ability to do.
Absolutely. I think one thing that we as young people can do, which Ruben definitely touched on, is just setting realistic goals. Like you can obviously say, oh yeah, I want to pray 3 times a day for the next month. And, even though I'm in school and I have work, I'm going to pray 3 times, 4, 5 times a day, every single day. And I'm going to, I'm going to fast and pray this day, and I'm going to this, that. You can say that. Like you can do that. If that's what will work for you, and that's something that you can see yourself doing for the next 28 to 31 days, go ahead and do that. But I think especially as young people living in this world, in this land, living on this land that is not ours, and that's, not strictly ours, setting realistic goals of, maybe I won't pray 3 times a day, but like Ruben was saying, 3 times a week. I'll make the effort to make sure that I'm at, Saturday service, morning service. I'll make the effort to make sure I'm at new moon services and Sabbath services, and just see if anyone in the nation needs help with anything. If a feast is coming up, is there any way that I can put my hands into the feast, whether it's cooking or helping with the program or literally anything with, that has to pertain to doing things within the nation. I think setting those realistic goals that that you yourself can do and that will help you in the long run, I think that's an important thing that we as young people today can do with just taking that first step.
Yeah, absolutely. It only works for you if you work for it. It's from the very beginning with Abraham and the covenant with him, it's been a relationship, a give and a take. So if you only utilize one part of it, God is going to take note and the blessings are going to stop. So being able to put your hands into something and really treat your brethren as a community. Not everyone has the same job, but we all have jobs to do. So being able to really utilize this nation for what it is, which is a family and a people, will help instill what role you can play and utilize your gifts to be able to give back to it. Even to go back to the David example where he found it in his heart to want to give back to the God of Israel and build him a temple. it shows just how deeply he cared about his people and his culture and his traditions and in the God of Israel itself. So it will show in your craft and in your skills just how deeply committed you are to this culture and in the people of and your brethren. So being able just to utilize that and really learning from each other and committing yourself to that as well.
I absolutely agree with all of the answers that have been given. I think that taking those small steps are very important. And something that I've learned that has stuck with me is it takes 21 days to form a habit. So if you can take those small steps and keep that going for those 21 days, eventually it'll just be ingrained in your routine. It'll be ingrained in your life, ingrained in your brain. And then you can take that and maybe do another 21 days and see if you can add something else. Or if those 21 days worked for you and you can't do anything else, like Ruben had said, depending on your situation, that's good. Keep that going, but you need to keep it going. You can't just, start it and then be like, I tried. And then stop. If you do hit that roadblock, it's important to recognize it and then get back on and see what you're able to do even after experiencing a roadblock. So I really appreciate all the points that were made. I even see some points that were made in the chat about, keeping the small and reasonable goals are very important. And also keeping your hands busy in the nation, like Hadassah had mentioned, that is also very important. So again, really, really great points. I'm loving everything that the panel has to say, and I'm loving the response that we're getting from the audience. So, and continuing with our forefathers, I think, as we mentioned, David is such an important example, and I think it's even as important and vital to look at his ancestry and see where he came from and the kind of people that he came from. So, moderator, if we could get the next slide. So we're going to go into Ruth. I personally love the story of Ruth. I know many people do love the story of Ruth, and we know how she took the step of true loyalty. So let's go to the next slide and read about Ruth. Okay.
And Naomi said,
go ahead, Ruth.
Yeah, and Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to their mother's house. The Lord will deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return unto thee thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have an husband. If I should say, I have hope if I should have an husband also tonight, and should also bear sons. Would ye tarry them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for thy sakes, for your sakes, that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people, and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. Whether thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God shall be my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.
So, like I mentioned before, I absolutely love the story of Ruth, and I love her because of her loyalty. Not only her loyalty to Naomi, but her loyalty to the God of Israel, who was not her God at first. Ruth is from Moab. She's a Moabitess. So the God of Israel is not her God, but she loves Naomi so much, and the relationship that they created throughout her marriage to Naomi's son, that she said, no, why would I go anywhere else but be with you? Why would I be loyal to anyone else but you? And in that, she even mentioned being loyal to the God of Israel. And I think that is such a huge thing, especially in the time that we're living in now as young people. It is so easy to be swayed by the glitz and the glamour outside of Israel, because the other side wants to make it so attractive for us to forget our God and to be disloyal to our God and follow after them. But here we see an example in Ruth and showing that not only is she loyal and wants to stay with Naomi, but she's loyal and wants to stay with the God of Israel. And he recognized that and not only blessed her in her lifetime, but also blessed her lineage and even her legacy through blessing David's legacy. So I think that it's so important to note her story and see how not only can the work we put in now have an impact on our lives right now or the people around us right now, but the work that we put in now can have impacts on the nation for generations and generations to generations to come. We may think it's so small, but the God of Israel doesn't see it as that. And he sees it as, you know what? Because you did this one thing, because you helped out in this one place, because you remained loyal to me, I will bless you and generations after you.
And with Ruth, taking someone's God and adopting their culture and their religion is not something to be taken lightly in the slightest. There's so many changes that come with that. There's a change in the way you live, the way you eat, the way you talk, the way you interact with other people. You're fundamentally who you are as a person, you change. So that change from saying, I have seen how you operate and the way you live your life, I've seen the greatness of the God of Israel. I myself now am turning away from my other gods and turn towards your God, where he has blessed me with you. You being in my life, you having your sons and marrying your sons has brought me so many wonderful things and so many happy times that I have no other choice but to give praise unto him and show him my faith and show him everything that I can give him in return for blessing me.
Yeah, I see why you love this story so much, Miriam, because it's so beautiful. The amount of just like I was saying earlier, the amount of true and genuine just love Ruth had for Naomi, to be able to, like Ruth was saying, turn away from her whole turn away from her whole family structure, turn away from her God, turn away from the way she lived her life, from being born to, being a young adult, to being an adult, to marrying Naomi's sons, and not even adopting Israel at that point, or, calling upon the God of Israel as her own God at that point. But after she's been with Naomi and she's been around Naomi for however long, the fact that, Ruth is like, okay, Naomi, I've been around you so long. I can't leave you now. I don't want to leave you now. There's no bone in my body that wants to leave you now that you essentially have no one, but I can't in good conscience leave you alone. And I've seen what your God has been able to do for you, and I've seen the blessings that your God has given to you. So not only am I going to stay with you, and I'm going to continue to be loyal to you and continue to just have, like I said, this adoration, this love, this like her being drawn to Naomi. Not only did she say that, but she's like, I'm going to adopt your God as well. And I'm going to follow the laws you follow the statutes and commandments that you follow. I'm going to become an Israelite. I'm no longer a Moabite. I am an Israelite. That's just powerful. That's beautiful. And like I was saying, I see why, you like this story so much.
Absolutely. I definitely see that as well. I think it just goes to show how nurturing and how kind Naomi must have been, and how strong of a woman she was. I think for even her to name that, hey, I will also follow your God, shows that Naomi was rightly given props to where props should be given, which is to the God of Israel when it comes to her daily life and giving thanks for even her blessings and things like that. So it just shows how strong of a woman that Naomi was, that Ruth saw that and saw where it came from.
And it's also a great story because it exemplifies the importance of the congregation and the community that we have built with one another. Because yes, we always have the God of Israel to turn upon and to pray onto, but in times of need, we also have our brethren who are there to hold us up, sometimes physically, and deliver us whatever we need in order to deal with a situation in a better fashion or to just get through a difficult time. And because of the impact that Naomi had on Ruth, it genuinely changed her life. And the impact that the people in the nation had on me, and the amount of things that they taught me, instilled in me, the values, all the wonderful things that they have given to me, they have shown me the utmost loyalty, respect, and genuine love. And that is, again, one of the greatest gifts that the God of Israel has given to us. He has given us a true family, and we're all united under his roof.
Absolutely, Ruben. And I think that that point of community is so vital in taking that first step. As we mentioned before, it's not just you by yourself. It's never just you by yourself. And here we see Ruth being that community for Naomi. Ruth didn't want to see Naomi just go somewhere and figure it out. She wanted to be with her every step of the way. And that's the same energy that we need to have for our brethren, because that's the kind of family that the God of Israel wants us to be. He doesn't want one of us to just go off and do something and everyone else is like, well, good luck to them. We'll see what happens. He wants all of us to rally behind each other and be with each other every step of the way, just like just like Ruth was here for Naomi. And we see, even if you read the story of Ruth, she was always with Naomi, always going to Naomi for guidance, taking Naomi every step of the way. There was nothing that Ruth did without Naomi, nothing Naomi did without Ruth. And I think that it is so important to look at that as an example and see that as, not only do I have to be loyal to the God of Israel and to my brethren, but I have to maintain that loyalty, maintain that community, because that's also ultimately what the God of Israel wants to see from us. So again, great points from everyone. I'm seeing that the chat is loving what we're saying as well. I'm loving what we're saying. So I'm having a great time, honestly, guys. So one thing that we have seen throughout all of the scriptures we've been reading so far is the fact that we're, like Sarah said, we're giving credit where credit is due, right? Ruth would not have known about the God of Israel if Naomi wasn't instilling that in Ruth's life somehow. Ruth saw how much Naomi loved her God, and because of that, she decided to follow Naomi's God as well. And I think that another person, obviously a lot of people in the Bible did this, but another person, especially a young person that did this, or a group of young people that did this, was Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So can we go to the next slide, please? So here I have Daniel and Co., the step of integrity. So can we go to the next slide so you can read the scripture? Okay. So here we have Daniel 2, verses 17 to 23. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God in heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons, removeth kings, and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou, my God of my fathers, who hast given me wisdom and might, and hast made known unto me now what we desired of thee, for thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. So, for a little bit of context, here, as we know with the story of Daniel and King Nebuchadnezzar, all of the magicians, the wise men, the scientists, the this and the that, they tried to interpret the king's dream, and none of them were able to do so. Everyone tried. They were like, maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is what it is. King was like, no, that's not what it is. So I'm going to kill you. Thank you. Thank you for absolutely nothing. So then it's Daniel's turn now. And he's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to die. I don't want to be one of those people that tried to tell the king what his dream was and couldn't. So I'm going to turn to my companions and to my God to help me reveal the secret of this dream, to help me reveal what's happening so that I'm not one of the people that have to die. Not for his own, oh, maybe this will allow me to be in good standing with the king, but for his own life, he did this. And he did this through blessing the God of Israel. He took the time before he went to the king. He could have trusted his own ability. He could have been like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. But he was humble enough to be like, you know what? I'm going to turn to my guys and I'm going to turn to the God of Israel because I want to be 100% sure that I know exactly what to say, exactly what to do. And he was blessed because of this. And I think that shows a step of integrity, being able to humble yourself and humble yourself in your values and know that before you do anything like this, you need to go to the God of Israel. You need to lean on your brethren because that's where you get your power from.
100%. 100. Go ahead, Dasa.
No, you're good. You can go. You can go.
I was gonna say I totally agree with that sentiment. I think even though the wording and language it used when it talked about Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah desired mercies of the God of heaven, it's not that they were trying to, I don't know, seek favor into the king before going towards him. They knew exactly where their power would come from. It's not from seeking favors from man. It's from allowing the God of Israel to bless them and asking that of him. Because they knew where that came from. It wasn't. We don't live in a physical world that's all spiritual. So being able to tap into that to deliver them from this situation was exactly what they did. And it's great that they, were aware and utilize that power within themselves.
Absolutely. I literally couldn't have said it better myself. I also think that the fact that, Daniel was able to go to his companions and talk it out with them and be like, literally have like a writer's room and talk to them about it and be like, okay, this is what happened in the dream. Do y'all think this happened? Do you think this happened? I heard that this is what another person said. So we can't say that. We can't put that in there because then he'll be like, that's not at all what the dream was. And then we'll end up dead. And I don't want that. So the fact that he was able to lean on his brethren, which is something like we were saying before, that's something that the God of Israel wants. The God of Israel wants to have this community and create this positive community of people that you can turn to for anything. Like something as interesting as, I need help interpreting the king's dream so that I don't die. The God of Israel is putting those people around Daniel so that he can go and be able to have that writer's room in the sense to, talk to them, but also he was able to go to the God of Israel and, like we were saying, humble himself and be like, yeah, I don't know everything. I don't know everything that, I need to know for this life. I'll never know everything because I'm a constantly learning person. I'm going to turn to my God because if he sees it in his will and, hopefully he sees it in his will to keep me alive. If he sees it in his will, I'm going to use my resource. I'm going to use that lifeline. I'm going to phone a friend in that sense. You know what I mean? Like if we're on a game show, I'm going to use all of my resources. Why wouldn't I? Like he is the greatest resource to have. Why would I not use that resource to help me in, in my own time of need? So I think that was just, something that I wanted to add to that.
And I love that point because the God of Israel will never, ever put you in a position where he knows that you'll not make it out. He has always and will continue to give you the tools that you need to be successful. And that is something that I'm so appreciative of. And in this case, and in most cases, the tool that we have is our community. Because in our times of need, and in this case for Daniel, it was a time of literally life or death, he turned to his brethren. He said, guys, as Hadassah said, I need a writer's room right now. I can't do this alone. I am but one man. I need your collaboration and your effort to figure out what's going on so that I can preserve our lives. And again, it just goes to show that you will go as far as you allow yourself to go. Because if you don't take advantage of those resources, you don't take advantage of those tools, you don't take advantage of the doctrine and take advantage of prayer, you're not going to go far because you are not turning and using the things that the God of Israel has given you. those things are what they are and in place for a reason, and you have to utilize them to be as prosperous as you can be.
Absolutely. I think even like when you say the God of Israel does not put us in situations we can't get out of, sometimes even puts us in the same situation over and over until we start to depend on him in the way that he wants us to, makes it seem impossible to get through. But that's when you depend on the physical sense of the world instead of the spiritual. So we are all those things. So like doubt and things and seeing this big boulder in front of you, that makes sense to be a little doubtful. But turning back into our God and using him as that resource that Miriam had beautifully described, and using that relationship that we have with him to the fullest extent of our abilities.
And I think to that point, Sarah, the fact that he took the time before anything, like we've all been saying, he took the time out of before he went to the king to reveal the dream. He said, I need to take a moment with my God. And I need to, one, ask him for this, but also give him his props and tell him, I already know that all of these things are going to be done for me because of how amazing and powerful you are. But I just want to put it out there how amazing and powerful I think you are. Just putting that extra emphasis on how important it is to give the God of Israel his flowers, give the God of Israel his props, and let it be known that you are my source. You are where my power comes from. The only reason I'm able to do this is through you. And as a young person, Daniel at this time is young. So sometimes we can have a big head. We can be like, I got this, bro. Like, what do I look like? Doing extra steps to getting where I'm trying to be when I know I'm already there. Like, I don't have to do anything. But as a young man, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we're like, we have to work together. We can't have any hubris. We need to be humble in this time. We need to turn to each other. We need to turn to the God of Israel. And we need to remember that, yeah, we're accomplished. We know what we're doing. But this doesn't come from us. This comes straight from the ultimate source, the God of Israel.
And another reason that I love this story, and I mentioned it earlier, is that the Bible and our doctrine is truly the blueprint for everything. Any situation that you're in, something you don't understand, something's unclear, you can turn to the Bible and you will find an answer. And I say that because this shows that, talking specifically with Daniel and the God of Israel, it is a give and take with our relationship with the God of Israel. And it's not only for us between him, but for us and other people that are earthly beings. Because if I'm constantly giving and giving and giving and giving, and I'm not receiving anything back, why would I continue to give? Because that's just simply unfair and it's putting all the burden on me. And in this case, Daniel, he was given so much. He was given something so wonderful that literally saved his life. And as Miriam said, he was humble enough to put his head down and say to the God of Israel, thank you. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for allowing me to live, protecting me, and keeping me as the apple of thine eye and watching over your children. So, and why I say that this is a blueprint is because in this world, whether it's a relationship with your friend, or romantic relationship with your parents, your siblings, whatever it may be, you're going to give and you're going to take. And without one of those things being there, no relationship will succeed.
And we see how, because they took these steps, the God of Israel blessed them through the king and allowed Daniel to be at one of the highest points in the kingdom. And Daniel didn't just say, thanks, I'm going to do this all by myself. Like, this was on me, honestly. Like, oh, that's so nice of you. He said, nah, I got to bring my boys with me too. Like, you got to give them a place as well. They may not have the highest place like Daniel had, but they still need to be with me because they were with me along the way. And that also shows that integrity. It shows that respect that he had for the God of Israel. And for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to thank them and to go to the king and be like, hey, I know that I did this for you, but it wasn't just me. And because it wasn't just me, I need all of me and my boys to be blessed. Whatever you're trying to give me, give it to them too. And that, like we've been saying before, goes back to the community, goes back to the kind of family that the God of Israel wants us to be, and goes back to having us sit back and think, okay, I'm doing this for myself, but how can I ultimately be able to give this back to my nation and to the God of Israel? And I
Yeah,
think Daniel and his companions are a perfect example of that.
100%. I think that even being able to take the blessings that you've been given from the God of Israel and bring them back into the nation and use them, and then have your friends do the same thing, the people that you know, depended on, the people that you worked with on something for the nation, just bringing that wealth and that equity back into the nation is such an important part of Daniel's whole story. And even going back with, to being able to take that first step, and how do you go about taking that first step? While Daniel did also depend on the God of Israel and obviously used him as that power source, that lifeline, he also depended on his people. He depended on his companions, on his boys, you know what I mean? Like he depended on them to give him ideas and to bounce things off of, and to try to, save all of us, because now we're all in it together. We have to all be in it, together. We're in the situation. We're going to get out of it, but we need to work together if we're going to get out of it. So taking even that first step of just rallying together a group of brethren and, getting on a prayer program, or, making sure that if I'm going to the nation, you're all going to the nation, or if I'm going to do this for a feast, y'all have to help me with this, or y'all can do other things for a feast, stuff like that. Just being able to take those different kinds of first steps, being with the God of Israel and with, your earthly companions, I think that's an important part of just what we've been talking about.
1,000%. I think when you were talking, Hadassah, making beautiful points, I remember even this past summer, Rise got together to host Yes Camp, which is a youth enrichment series where the youth of Israel gets together and we just learn together and grow together for a weekend. And one of our last activities was envisioning the nation and what that would look like for us and our generations to come. And it was unmatched how fulfilling it felt to be in a room with like-minded individuals that felt the same way about our future and can affirm our visions of each other, and commit to even taking those steps to creating that for us and for our children. So yeah, the community is important. You can't do Israel by yourself. And it's, I think in this world too, it's hard for someone else to really, really get to know you unless they know that part of you, since it's in our blood. Like it's such an integral part of who we are and our identity, that being able to connect with people that get it and that understand is a relationship like no other. So yeah, finding your community, even within Israel, in this nation, we have so many people. So finding your group and your people that you can depend on is everything.
Everyone, let's put some fires in the chat. Ruben, did you want to say something really quick?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's also great that while we all are connected by our faith in the God of Israel and our love for him, we've all lived vastly different lives. Like not any one of us has walked the exact same path to get to this point we're at today. And that is to our benefit, because while I, based on my experiences, may think one way about a certain situation or think, this is the only way I can deal with this, my aunties, my uncles, my friends, my siblings, whatever it may be, they can come and say, well, have you looked at it like this? Maybe this would be a better solution. Maybe this would, et cetera, et cetera. And that allows us to look at things much more widely and from a much better angle, and actually attack things from a better perspective and be able to solve things in a better way.
100%, Ruben. I think that it's so integral to get different perspectives, because your judgment could cloud so much and you could see a situation in one way. But if you give your brethren, your family, the ability to be in your life and give you that advice, they could give you a completely different view. And you could be like, oh, wow, I didn't see it like that. And now it could be easier to deal with because you have a different perspective. And it's not the perspective you dug a hole for yourself and that you feel like you can't get out of. So I think that that is so super important. So we've been looking at a lot of examples of what to do, right? Of, taking that step in integrity, taking that step of loyalty, taking that step of obedience, and taking the step of trust, things like that. But I think it's also important to see the other side of it and positions that we shouldn't really take a step in order to pull the nation to a more positive and prosperous place. So, moderator, can we get the next slide? So here we have Judas. Judas is very famous, and he's very famous for his betrayal. So here we have Judas taking the step of betrayal. Can we get the next slide? And can I have a reader for this, please?
I can read. Then Jesus we're reading John 12, verses 1 through 6. Then Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the anointment. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him. Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief and had the bag and bear what was put therein.
So Judas is here like, oh, thank you. So Judas is here like, guys, why don't we just sell this oil? Here we have Mary rubbing Jesus's feet with the oil, and Judas is like, we should sell this. And it's made a point for it to not be because he cared about people, because he wanted people to experience the wonders of the oil. He just wanted it for his own greedy self. And I think that, and it's noted that he's a thief, right? And I think that that's so important to be aware of, because this is the exact person that is perfect to take that step of betrayal and to be that betrayer that he was. And the God of Israel saw that in him, and he used him for a negative reason. So I want to use this example of Judas to show everyone, hey, you can be in a position to be used for negativity in the nation. So don't be a Judas. Don't be someone who is in that position to be seen by the God of Israel as someone he can use for the downfall of the nation. Instead, be like the examples we've seen before of people that were loyal, people that were trustworthy, people that had integrity, people that were humble, people who really had it in their heart, that cared about this nation, cared about their people, cared about the God of Israel, and not the person that only cared about themselves and the betterment of themselves and how they could use, take, and not give back.
Absolutely. I think you're spot on when you describe God of Israel sees our characteristics and uses it to his will. And the reason he even chose Abraham is because he was obedient. He got chosen at 75. So that's 75 years of being obedient, and he saw that it could also happen the other way. Right. And so I think that's so important to note and to take note of for sure.
And this shows that the type of person that you are, how you carry yourself to be, leaves you vulnerable to all sorts of things. Because Judas had a choice. He could have followed the path of righteousness, or followed the path of the God of Israel, and been his humble servant and been with him with true faith and love. But because of his own constitution and who he is as a person and his own thought process, he essentially doomed himself. But in this moment where we are with Jesus the Christ, and it is a wonderful moment, his mind is only on, how can I make a profit? How can I better my life monetarily, rather than how can I better my life spiritually and under the eye of the God of Israel. And it just goes to show that your thought process leaves you open to all sorts of unwanted negative effects.
100%. I think that it's so important to be cognizant of your character and the kind of person that you are, not only around your brethren, but away from your brethren as well. Because the God of Israel sees all. So you could be one way at the nation, you could be one way on the Friday night Bible studies, you could be one way in front of your brethren. But as soon as you leave the nation and you have all these thoughts, or you take all these actions to do opposite of what the God of Israel wants you to do, he will use you. It may not be in the way that you want to be used. It may not be in the way that to get the things that you want to get, but you will be used and you will be dealt with. And I think that Judas is the perfect example of someone we should take example of and do the exact opposite. Because we don't want to be a Judas. We want to be a Gideon. We want to be a Ruth. We want to be a David. We don't want to be the ones that tear this nation down, especially as young people, especially as impressionable people, especially as the future of this nation. We cannot be putting ourselves in a position where the God of Israel looks at us and says, I'm going to use you to tear down the nation, to teach you a lesson, to teach everyone else a lesson. Instead, you want the God of Israel to look at you and say, that's the kind of Israelite I want. That's the kind of person I want to be in my nation. That's the kind of person I want to be leading my people.
And I love what you said, Miriam, because when you do these sort of negative things, trust that you will be dealt with. Like, right. There's no other way to put it. When you have all this negativity and this hatred, whether it's towards your brethren, towards God, whatever it may be, you will be dealt with and you will be made an example of. People will look at you and say, I will not be like that man. I will not be like that woman, because I am a follower of the God of Israel. I am his child, and I look at him with love and with faith. But when you are that negative person, not only are you affecting yourself, you also can have effect on others, and you could bring them down with you. And it's so sad to see those cases where a good person gets corrupted by someone like a Judas. Yeah. And this goes to the point where you also have to, for your own individuality, strengthen yourself. Because yes, we have the strength in our community and in our God of Israel, but you also have to do some sort of self-reflection and say, okay, I'm weak in this area. I am vulnerable in this area. I can be attacked in this area. Now, what do I do in order to not be as vulnerable and not be attacked, and to make sure that I am strengthening myself and protecting myself, and also protecting my brethren?
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Oh my gosh, I agree totally. Sarah, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to express how much I agree.
No, yeah, 100%. I think that it's so important looking at who we are, where we are, and the impact that we have, and to always keep that in mind. Because like we said before, you could do something small and you never know how that small thing could have a ripple effect and end up impacting so many different people that you had no idea could even happen. But unfortunately, we are running low on time, which is so crazy because I feel like we just started. But before we do end our lesson tonight, I want to give a panel a second to just say any last words, any last thoughts, feelings about this lesson. I want to thank you guys so much for doing this with me. I really, really appreciate it. I loved hearing everything that you had to say. And now the floor is yours.
First off, thank you, Felicia, for the donation. We do really appreciate that. What I want to leave everyone with is that when it comes to taking that first step and actually enacting on it, it takes three things to me: faith, determination, and dedication. There you go. Because without those three things, you'll never reach the goal that you're trying to achieve. And the first step without any action is just a step.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I want to keep it short. Thank you again, Miriam, for allowing me to even be on this panel. Like Ruben said, take that first step. And with taking that first step, whether it's prayer, it needs to come with action backing it. If there's no action, like he was saying, it's just words. And that action could be something as simple as just putting your hands in the nation and making sure that you're present and making sure that the only time people see you isn't on, Passover and New Year's or whatever. Make sure that you're a constant face within the nation. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I had so much fun talking with you guys today on this panel. You guys made so much great points. It was nice to connect on the topic that I feel like is very timely in my life right now. And so it was just, thank you, Miriam. Love that.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to my panel. Thank you to the audience for joining and giving all of your wonderful comments and motivating us. Please remember always to like, to comment, to share, subscribe. We are here every Friday at 7:30, every Saturday at 2 p.m. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this message because I enjoyed it. And I bid you all peace.
Peace.
Peace.